Alright guys, what's going on? Rangovidsmanga12 here, and I'm going to be reviewing Ultimate Spider-Man issue 16 for you guys. Now, we just finished Ultimate Spider-Man issue 14 and 15 yesterday, so we saw Gwen Stacy, we saw Dr. Octopus, and of course we saw J. Jonah Jameson get a confrontation from Spider-Man. So, anyway, if you guys are just joining us, we are on a mission, an adventure, to review every single comic of Ultimate Spider-Man. So, from Ultimate Spider-Man issue 1, all the way up to issue 133 and beyond, so yeah, that's going to take a while, and it's a little bit crazy, but we're going to do it anyway. So, we're on Ultimate Spider-Man issue 16 right now, so let's jump into it. Alright, so from the previous issue, we got introduced to Dr. Octopus, Otto Octavius, waking up from a coma for 3 months with these metal arms fused to his body because the government couldn't be bothered taking them off. They wanted to see what would happen if they left these arms on his body. And he's pretty much gone insane, and as you can see, he's talking to himself a little bit, or that's what it seems like anyway. But he's pretty much talking about him giving away like company secrets to like competitors of Oscorp and stuff like that. And that is when we find out Otto is actually talking to a painting, a portrait of some guy. Now, we don't know who this guy is yet, but we'll probably find that out in this issue or the next issue. I can't quite remember. But as you can see, Otto is trying to find out what these guys were working on together, and of course he can't remember. He's been in a coma for 3 months, he's been hit over the head, he's been in a serious accident, and it actually hurts his head to remember this, but he knows that this man on a painting in front of him is the reason for all of this, and he hates his guts. He's going to ruin him, he's going to kill him, he's going to ruin his business, he's going to ruin everything that he stood for, and as you can see, he's launching his metal arms through the face of the painting and tearing it to shreds, and it doesn't look like he's going to stop at anything until he gets his man. Now, as we move on throughout the issue, we get introduced to Kraven the Hunter, and Kraven the Hunter in the Ultimate Comics is actually quite interesting because he doesn't exactly have any powers. He's not a crazy guy. He's literally just a reality TV host guy. Like, he's hunted alligators, he's in the Australian outback. There's nothing really special about Kraven in this universe. Like, I know in the 616 universe he's more of a villain, whereas in the Ultimate universe he's just an obsessed reality TV star trying to capture Spider-Man for his TV show. I kind of like that. I like the way he's portrayed, especially because he's an Australian guy, and I already get this sense of like annoyance from Kraven the Hunter in the Ultimate Comics just because of how like overconfident he is, if you get what I mean. I don't know, but yeah, so we go back over to Peter Parker. And of course, Peter's in his own little world, thinking about him being Spider-Man and about Otto Octavius maybe knowing his identity and knowing that he's Spider-Man, and thinking about how hard it is to put 2 and 2 together, that even Kong did it in school, so to have someone such as Otto, we'll probably think of that instantly. Now, we go back over to Gwen Stacy and Captain George Stacy, of course, that's her father, and he's having a word with her about why she took a knife into school, because if you remember in the previous issue, she pretty much pulled a knife on Kong and everyone kicked off, and Captain Stacy's been let know, he's been like notified of this situation, and he's trying to talk to Gwen, and Gwen pretty much turns around and says, "You never asked me why I took a knife into school, you never asked me why I pulled the knife on that kid." Then he gets a call from Ben Urich, and Ben Urich has been pretty much trying to get hold of Captain George Stacy all day. Like, he's phoned multiple times, he's been hung up on, and this time he actually says that it's his mother, and then when he gets handed over to George Stacy, well, it's actually Ben Urich, and I thought that was amazing. Now, these two people turn up at Captain George Stacy's office, and they're there to discuss Dr. Otto Octavius. Now, this is really interesting, especially because we've got a TV series about this now. That woman in the red, well, the red hair and the black glasses, is actually the Ultimate Universe's Agent Carter. So that's why it's awesome, because we now have an Agent Carter TV series and stuff like that, so that's brilliant to see. So, yeah, and of course, they are S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, they are from S.H.I.E.L.D. At the Daily Bugle, they get like reports of like a guy climbing up the side of a building with metal arms, and that is when Peter remembers the metal arms being stood behind Otto Octavius when he first met him. So Peter knows that that is Otto Octavius climbing up the side of the building, so he jumps in his Spider-Man costume and heads on his way out. Now, I'm just by what I'm seeing in this comic, I think that this old guy is Mr. Hammer. So, you know the Mr. Hammer out of Iron Man 2, the movie? I think it's that guy. Of course, in the Ultimate Universe, he's older, but the painting, the portrait that Dr. Octopus ripped up at the very beginning of the issue was Mr. Hammer, and the Mr. Hammer that we are seeing right here is actually his son. So, and apparently they look identical to each other, which means that Dr. Octopus is probably going to get these two mixed up and attack his son instead of the actual father, Mr. Hammer, and I think that's going to get a little bit crazy. Of course, Dr. Octopus has amnesia, so maybe that's why he's getting the son and the father mixed up, who knows, but Spider-Man is actually sitting above these guys listening to this level 7 classified information, and S.H.I.E.L.D. agents both see him and blast at him straight away with no hesitation whatsoever, and Mr. Hammer is just like thinking that these guys are crazy, but of course these guys have orders and they must follow through on them. Now we go over to Kraven the Hunter, who's just landed in America with his TV crew and everything like that. There's a bunch of reporters out waiting for him, and that is when he reveals that he's after the one called Spider-Man and he's going to kill him no matter what. He's going to capture him on live TV and it's going to be making history. But that is where the issue ends, with Kraven landing in America. So it looks like Spider-Man's got a new nemesis to go up against, who is also after him instead of the other way around, with Spider-Man being after the Kingpin or something. So that's going to be interesting to see Spider-Man becoming the hunted. And yeah, what did you guys think of this issue? Let me know in the comments section below. What did you think of Dr. Octopus and all his fury? Seems a little bit crazy. I actually like the Dr. Octopus in this series than in the 616 universe, because he actually makes sense and is, of course, he's always smart, but he kind of has his own reasons for doing this sort of stuff as well, and I think he's better developed as a character. But anyway guys, I'm going to give this issue an 8 out of 10. We got to see that development of Dr. Octopus, and of course we got introduced to Agent Carter of the Ultimate Universe and Mr. Hammer, so we're going to be seeing more of those in the next issue. So that's an 8 out of 10, and of course go to the links in the description guys to follow me on Twitter and Facebook. You can get all the latest comic book news updates, and of course if you follow me on Twitter, then you can get all the updates on my videos, when they're being edited, when they're going up, and of course how many videos are going out. So go over there to links in the description to check those out. And guys, hit the like button on this video. The most important thing to do is hit the subscribe button for more, and I will see you all in my next video.